Hello friends, and welcome to another video. I just received an email from a talented person, musician in the UK. So she was kind enough to reach out. She's been following my YouTube channel, and she shared a few things that she has accomplished quite recently, and pretty much just getting started in music licensing. She mentioned that she has downloaded my guide and she has taken the steps necessary in order to get started. By the way, if you're new to this and you don't have my guide, link in the description so you can get started and start music licensing. She shared a few things and roadblocks that she's encountering along the way as a beginner, and it reminded me of when I got started. Okay, she mentioned that she was rejected by Identify because she did not have enough music online. And I wanted to talk about this. I wanted to address this here. There has been some rejections and some things happening when we start. Not having an online presence has become something fairly new as well. Libraries now require you to have some type of an online presence, right? This was not the case many years ago. So I wanted to talk about here a little bit about this if you're getting started. And I want to share my experience of how I got started and the mistakes I did in the beginning, okay? So when we start out, we don't have an online presence for sure. We don't have music online, really. Sinking in here on this chair. Nowadays, libraries require you to have a SoundCloud account, at least. You don't have to have a full-blown website, but I will certainly start with a SoundCloud account because you can easily have a link of your music. But most importantly, have some type of work that you can showcase to stock libraries. Back in the day, like I mentioned here, it was not requirement to have this. But I believe that even Pond5 has updated their terms and conditions when it comes down to joining even a library like Pond5. Like, they want to see who you are, what you're about. You don't have to be famous, but you must have something going on online. And by that I mean that you have to have, as a minimum, a SoundCloud account with a few tracks. That's all it takes, And if the music is good enough, then they will take you on for sure. There's just no doubt about it. Okay, but we need to have that in place. Things have moved on and changed, so it's not good enough to just sign up to a library and fingers crossed. And even Content ID, which I've been talking a lot about Content ID here. Okay, and you can technically speaking treat Content ID as a library for that matter. It just happens to be a library of your music that has been fingerprinted in order for you to be compensated when somebody takes that track and use it without purchasing a license. So I will treat Content ID, at least in my book, as a library right on its own. And I have seen some results, but the only reason why I have seen some results, even though I just joined, is because I have music online. So when I got this email from this person, and she was explaining to me that she's been rejected by Content ID because there's not enough music online, or there's nothing really going on with the music, it kind of makes sense, because if you don't have music that is online, then there is no business for Content ID to have your music fingerprinted, right? Because your music is still not online. And even if you have some music online, it's probably not even enough. And when I say not enough, I mean, I don't know what the criteria it is to be considered to be part of Identify. I'm talking about Identify here, by the way. But I will not stress too much about it. And maybe this is something that I want to communicate here with you, because I do talk for people that want to get started. Okay, this is what I focus a lot here on the channel, so I don't want to be misleading either. So I feel a responsibility in recording this video. It's the reason why I wanted to record a video talking about this topic, because even though when you join, you join me here on the channel and you download my guide and you follow my videos and my guidance, I want to walk you through all the steps and try to get rid of the overwhelm. So maybe what I should do is actually inform more and be more detailed when it comes down to these things. And what I mean by that is that it's very easy for us to get overwhelmed by what to do, how to sign up to a PRO, for example. I mean, PROs is probably the biggest topics here on the channel. It's very confusing for a lot of people, because I am a big believer that you should have your music, and not only with Content ID, which I'm a big believer now, but as well with a PRO. You should be affiliated with a PRO. And people do not understand, because we're selling royalty-free music, and how is it possible that we need to register our music with a PRO or to be affiliated with a PRO? So this person that sent me the email, and I really appreciate her for reaching out. She was mentioning about her PRO in the UK as well, that apparently you have to pay a fee. I don't know, because I am not with the PRO in the UK. I am with BMI in America, and it's completely free, and I think it works a little bit different than PRS, just the PRO in the UK. So I believe that you have to have an X amount of tracks online, and you have to pay a fee or something. I mean, I don't know the details. That's why you have to check with your local PRO in your country, because there's different terms and conditions when it comes to joining a PRO. But that makes sense as well, okay? So when I say to people, like, you should join a PRO, I understand where the overwhelm comes from, because there's confusion, there's a lot of mixed messages online from different music licensing teachers and gurus, and I put myself in that category. But I want to really get rid of the overwhelm and get rid of all the roadblocks a lot of people might be encountering. So even though I'm telling you to register with a PRO, you still have to see how that works for you and your situation, because I don't know where you're based, So if you're based in the UK, I don't know if you can hear these bells, but I live very close to a church here in Greece. It's probably leaking through the microphone. You have to find all the information necessary based on your situation with your PRO. And yes, you can be affiliated with a PRO like BMI, okay? There's no problem with that. You can certainly be affiliated with a PRO like BMI, and regardless of where you are. I mean, I live in Greece, and I am affiliated with BMI as an international composer. So this is something that you can always do. I'm not going to talk too much about PROs here on this video, but I have a very good story when it comes down to PRO when I got started back in the day. And I want to share this here with you, which is the message of this video. And forgive me if this is a long video, but I really want to make good content out of this type of questions that I get, and go a little bit deeper, okay? In this, because I want to help not only the person that sends me this email, but fellow musicians and composers who want to get started and they feel confused, and they might download my guide and see that, okay, I do say in the 7 steps of how to get started to register or be affiliated with a PRO. However, you do have to see what are the terms and conditions in your country with your PRO. And yes, you can join an international PRO as an international composer. I mean, that's at least what I did, because the PRO here in Greece, they have different terms and conditions, and I didn't even bother. I'll have to be honest with you. I mean, even though I knew somebody that was working in a PRO, I mean, in the local PRO here in Greece, and I had some type of connection, if you will, I still decided to go with BMI because it was just easier for me to just be affiliated with PRO in the States anyways, and everything is done online. Well, back then I was doing it through the mail, actually, not online. Nowadays you can just sign up online with BMI. So that's a way to do it. I mean, that's what I will advise, you know. But then again, if you are in the UK, you certainly can go with your local PRO. But it all comes down to how active you are with your music. So I want to tell the story of when I started this music licensing journey. I did something that it was so stupid that I still feel like a fool up until this day. I mean, I feel ashamed of saying this, but I have shared it here on the channel before to show you the level of stupidity that somebody can have, you know, in order to try to make money with his music. So there's a lesson learned there. Okay, so what I did is that I wanted to join BMI. So I had that right in the beginning. And I said to myself, well, they're asking me to fill up this form for tax, right? Because I'm going to be selling music online, and I have to fill up a tax information and all of this. So they were asking for a W8 Ben, 8 Ben or something like that. W8 Ben, yeah, the tax form that I have to fill because I am not a U.S. citizen and I live abroad and all of this. So because I was so stupid at the time and I didn't know exactly what I was doing, what I decided to do, I mean, check this out. I put my British passport, which is my only form of ID living here in Greece, okay, even though I have a resident card, the passport is a very important piece of document. And I mailed my UK passport from Greece all the way to America to the IRS. Now, I want you to sit down and really think about this. I'm a grown-up man. I have traveled around the world to just start over my life. I've done that from Venezuela to America, from America to the UK, from the UK here to Greece. I'm a married man. I have seen certain things in life. I'm not a kid. And here I am, like an idiot, sending my British passport, which is my only form of ID, through the mail. Of course, I send it like registered, signed, and everything, the most expensive package that I can send my passport with. And guess what happened? My passport got lost, obviously. And I ended up calling the IRS, long distance phone calls from Greece, all the way up there, okay, to America, to ask them to see if they have received my passport. I remember talking to this lady, and she was in such shock of what I was asking. And she kept on saying, this happened more than once, by the way. I was making multiple phone calls for a long period of time asking about my passport over the phone, and obviously waiting on the phone. I mean, it cost me so much. And I was asking, and I was telling her, I send my passport because I want to be okay with a tax man because I am going to be selling music online. And she kept on saying to me, have you sold anything? You know, and she was trying to like make sense out of all of this. And I said, no, I haven't sold anything yet. I'm planning to sell something online. It happens to be music. So I sent my passport so you guys can see who I am, so I can have my tax number or something. I mean, that's the logic behind all of this, I guess, or in my head anyways. It slowly started to sink in as days go by and weeks go by, and the more phone calls I will make to the IRS, that my passport got lost in the mail, or it just never arrive. It's just, you know, who does that anyways, you know? I had to go to the police and declare my passport as lost, you know, and I had to apply for a new passport, which was more money, of course. And at this point, I don't have a single piece of music track online. Nothing. I'm not selling anything. I haven't composed a track. I haven't uploaded the track to nowhere. I haven't even opened an account. So it reminds me of when I get these emails, it reminds me of that sometimes. And I'm not saying that this person who sent me that email is in the same position. Of course she's not. But it just reminds me of myself because I wanted to have everything in place. It's a completely different story what she's talking about on the email. But I always say to people that, yes, follow the steps. Follow everything that you need to do in order to accomplish your thing. But the most important thing is to just get started, to have something going on. Right? In my case, it was to just make the music. And back then, I didn't even need it to be affiliated with a PRO, especially in a library like Audio Jungle. It was not a requirement. Okay? So I could have just joined, just open an account on Audio Jungle, fill up the W8 band form, tags form in Audio Jungle inside, upload a track and start selling. Okay, because it did not require you to provide the information if you were affiliated with BMI or a PRO back then. Nowadays, when you join a library, most of the times, immediately you have on the page the question, are you affiliated with a PRO or not? Then it's up to you to decide if you are or not, or if you are affiliated or not with one. Okay, but if you're just getting started and you have certain roadblocks, like in her case, that you need to have at least X amount of tracks already, or streams, or whatever conditions they have there, then you have to weigh that out, really. It's certainly not a do or die kind of thing, or it's not going to be a deal breaker for sure. But for me, losing my passport, because I wanted to be okay with the IRS or with the taxman in America, because I was going to be selling music in dollars through an American company or whatever, it's so stupid. And to this day, this is a story that I tell now here on the channel. And we laugh about it, even with my wife. Like, you remember that time that I sent my passport through the mail because I wanted to start selling music online? I mean, who does that? It's ridiculous. And that's because I just wanted to be okay with everything from the start. Okay, so it's better to just get started. There's no gatekeepers, really, in order to get started. I want to promote the fact that you have to be affiliated with a PRO, but it's better to just get started. And even if you have a music track right now that got placed and you're not affiliated with a PRO and you haven't registered that track, you can still do it. Okay? In theory, you can still do it. Compose music, upload it, move on. Whenever you have some traction going on and something is happening with your music, then go to Content ID. They will see that you have some music. They will find out about you, that, okay, there is some money to be made here because obviously you have music that is out there. So it's most likely that people are taking that music and putting it on YouTube videos and whatnot. So, the moral of the story is to just be proactive. And I guess this applies to anything, right? We need to start slow and with baby steps in order to get somewhere. And this applies to anything for sure. But with music licensing, even though royalty-free libraries and stock libraries is the easiest way to get started, they're still overwhelmed from people. And yes, obviously, if you hear me here on the channel talking about Content ID and you're just getting started, yes, I will probably, if I'm starting out, I will probably go and say, like, I want to join Content ID immediately. I want to be affiliated with a PRO. So, all of these things might be necessary in order to get started. And the reality is that if you're just getting started and you have 0 tracks online, then maybe you shouldn't join Content ID just yet. And that's why I want to be here talking about this on this video. I want to be very critical of the information and say, yes, you should join Content ID. However, if you don't have tracks online, understand that they might not accept you just yet because there's no tracks online. And I guess it's kind of like similar to other things online. If there's nothing going on really, you don't have enough views or enough streams or enough of this, then you don't qualify for certain things. So get the ball rolling, get started, and then you will be able to join Content ID. You will be able to join your PRO in your country, or just go the international route with BMI, which a lot of composers are involved with BMI. a lot of international composers for that matter. But it's information that I really have to make sure that I'm being very transparent with you guys here. If you're just getting started and you have only one track or have 0 tracks, like the way I had back in the day. And it's something that I'm going to be updating on my guide for sure. I mentioned that I'm always updating my guide, not only with a list of libraries, but as well putting in the guide as well content ID. So I want to make sure that I put that unless you have X amount of tracks online already, then it's most likely that they're not going to accept you. So just have that as a step that you need to take further down the line once you get something going. First of all, just open a few accounts with certain libraries that are in my guide, and then start getting some traction. Make a sale, get rejected, have something there going on. Have a SoundCloud account as well, and so you can always have a link there. So whenever a library asks you, like, okay, let me showcase your music, you have a link on a SoundCloud account. Again, back then I did not have a SoundCloud account in order to showcase my music, because it was not required when I joined Audio Jungle, Pond5, and all the other libraries. But I have joined libraries after that they will ask me directly, what is my Audio Jungle and Pond5 link? I mean, there's a library out there that's actually asking you directly, because they understand that it is most likely that you are with Pond5 and Audio Jungle. So that was, when I came across this library and they asked me that, like, put in the box your Audio Jungle URL link and Pond5, I felt like more confident, and I felt like, okay, I have something going on already. But if you're starting out and you join a library and they're asking you for your URL link on Pond5 and Audio Jungle or other libraries, yeah, it can seem intimidating. It can seem like, okay, I don't have anything really yet. So it's very important for you to just get the ball rolling, just start somewhere, baby steps. And by baby steps, I mean just even uploading to one library. I recommend Pond5 to be the best library to get started. You get familiarized with the process of uploading your music, understand rejection, understand tagging, understand how you can be present in the marketplace. It's very easy to upload your music to Pond5. It's very easy to just do at least a few sales in the beginning, depending on how much music you have, and then move on to different libraries. It's just a matter of being proactive and getting experience. And then eventually you can, just by treating one library as your hub, where all the music is, then you can embark and diversify to different libraries. And then, yeah, just join Content ID. Once they see that you have certain music out there, you can contact them, and they will definitely reconsider, because they're in the business of making money. So if you have music out there, there's people taking your music for sure. So they want to make sure that you get compensated. They make a fee. They take a fee out of that. It's free to join Content ID, identify, but they make money when someone is taking the music, and they can actually, locate that music track. And the same goes with PROs. It's a different game. Obviously, it's not fingerprinted. This is our performance royalties. But if you don't have any music out there like I had back then, and I lost my passport like an idiot calling the IRS over the phone, what am I doing? I guess in my head, I was trying to get things right, or maybe I was making it more complicated than it had to be. I was finding as well excuses to not get started unconsciously. Right? Now, I'm not saying that this person that sent me the email is doing that. I'm just saying that that's my story. Somebody wrote in a comment here on my videos, one of my videos, that this video sometimes they sound like confessions. And I think like maybe that's what they are, actually, confessions of a music composer. Sometimes I tell my stories, especially in these long form videos, and I try to confess my mistakes and my failures. It's part of the journey. And if we start something online, it's always like that. Am I allowed to do this? Am I allowed to do that? If you open a YouTube channel, you're like, well, when do I get, X amount of views, and how do I reach to 1,000 subscribers, and when do I get monetized? Am I allowed to do this? Am I talking about that? You know what I mean? Like we get so overwhelmed by all of this, and sometimes the best the best step forward is to just get started. You'll figure it out along the way, right? If you follow certain simple steps, you will get monetized here on YouTube eventually if you meet the requirement. You will have X amount of views in a space in this platform if you do certain things like this and you don't talk about stuff that might get you canceled or you're swearing or whatever the hell. I mean, there's policies and terms and conditions about this. If you're just getting started, then don't overcomplicate it. But I will definitely be dissecting more the information here to the small details of what exactly you need to do. But obviously, I cover all of this in my courses and in my coaching programs. I mean, some people need help with filling up the tax form. I mean, I understand that because I have been there. Like, what do I do with this W-8 band tax form, right? And if you're in America, you fill up a different form if you're a U.S. citizen. I met a guy once, I think a client. Yeah, it was a client, a few students actually, who were refusing to sign up the tax form because they were afraid that the tax in their country were going to find out that they were selling something online. Yeah, and I was like, well, you need to fill up, that's the requirements when we sell something online. Anyways, that's a story for another video. Thank you so much for all the love and support, my friend. And I hope this video finds you well. I hope that this information is helpful and my stories will give you a little bit of peace of mind that I have done worse things. Thank you so much for the love and support, and I'll see you in another video.